Everybody's heard about a little stock called GameStop. And then there's Reddit, and there's Robinhood, and there's these millions of little investors kicking the hedge funds' asses. This is a wonderful time. I just think it's entertaining, because it doesn't make any difference right now because the real problem is the dollar. And my concern is they're going to have to print more fake dollars simply because the pensions are bust, and their pensions are stuffed with stuff like GameStop. It's happening. But we have something even more important today, something much more valuable than GameStop. It's something with real value. It's called silver. I love silver. And all my friends going, you're an idiot. What is happening with silver? What is Reddit and Robinhood going after silver for? GameStop sold these games to these kids who understand games better than you and I ever will. And then they turned against GameStop, or they turned against Wall Street. And it's a classic case of David kicking Goliath. But GameStop, in my opinion, is worthless. It's a retailer that's out of business. His business model is finished. GameStop as a brand is probably valuable, but not as the existing business.
Yeah, I mean, they have to turn it over to, it has to go from a brick and mortar, store in a mall, to something online, although how do you compete with Amazon? How do you compete with, these big behemoths? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's probably some way to restructure it in a much smaller way, but I'm sure all the equity holders would get wiped out in that restructuring.
What is the real value of silver in industry?
Well, I mean, silver has tremendous value in industry. That's why it's money. People forget with all the hysteria about Bitcoin that money has to have intrinsic value. Money has to be a commodity. That's what money is. It's the most marketable, most liquid commodity. That's why it's a store of value. The reason that silver is a store of value is because you're storing all of the things that you can do with the silver after you melt it down, right? That's what you're storing. And so silver is very valuable metal. I mean, at one point, yeah, they used a lot of it in photography, and people were saying, oh, well, now there's no more film, so who's gonna need silver? But meanwhile, there's plenty of other uses for silver out there as a conductor of electricity. It's used in the automotive industry, along with a lot of, copper and nickel are also in demand for electric vehicles, for the batteries that operate them. But there are all sorts of applications for silver. There's even more for gold. The problem is gold is so expensive that in many cases, they substitute silver for gold or copper for gold because they can't afford the gold.
What is happening with silver? What is Reddit and Robinhood going after silver for?
Well, here's the thing. The one thing that silver has in common with GameStop is a short interest. There are big banks like JP Morgan, right? They're the boogeyman, right? Shorting silver, right? They have short positions. But here's the big thing. Most of the silver that's traded is traded on futures exchanges.
There's a difference between GameStop and silver. There really is a global shortage of silver, but not only that is the value, the intrinsic value, the real value of silver is about to go up with the Green New Deal, with electric cars, with medicines and all this. And there is this major silver short. And the people that ultimately want the silver never disclose.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now let's continue.
So we still don't know who's squirming out there because there's companies like Toshiba, Sony, Apple, and Tesla. They all need silver, but nobody's saying how much they need. So we don't know how bad the shortages.
Bitcoin has a lot more in common with GameStop than it does with gold or silver, right? Because it's the same concept, pump and dump, greater fool theory. You're buying something that has no value, but just because it's gone up, everybody thinks that they've, rediscovered, the wheel or something. Like, oh my God, you see it works because the price went up. Look, because the price of GameStop went from $10 to $500, that doesn't change the nature of that business. They're not making any more money in their malls than they were before. It's the same failed business. And Bitcoin at 30,000 is the same Bitcoin at $3. There's no fundamental difference other than the fact that more people own it and they've been willing to buy it. But why are people buying GameStop? Because they think somebody else will pay them more.
Right.
Why are people buying Bitcoin? Because they think somebody else will pay them more. Why am I buying silver? Because I know somebody's going to need it.
Right.
Because it's used in industry.
Right.
And I'm going to store the silver because the people who need the silver are going to pay a lot of money to get mine.
Right.
But nobody needs Bitcoin. It's only because you want to speculate in it. You just got to make sure when people are buying silver now, don't buy any rare coins, collectible coins. You don't want to be a coin collector. You want to be a bullion investor.
I just think it's entertaining, because it doesn't make any difference right now because the real problem is the dollar.
I agree.
But
the dollar is a problem because it has no fundamental value.
Right.
It's only backed by faith.
Right.
And that's the same thing. That's the same problem Bitcoin has.
Right.
That's why I want something real. I want real money, right? You call it God's money, but that's what I want. I want the real deal. I don't want some new iteration of fool's gold.
Right. And also, Peter, I've built a gold mine in China, which I'll never do again because they took it. And
they took it because it was valuable.
Yeah. Well, and then I also built a silver mine in Argentina, and unfortunately my stockbroker said to sell it, so I sold it. And I'll never listen to those guys again. You know what I mean? I know what I love. Gold and silver are God's money. And I call Bitcoin people's money, is decentralized finance. And my concern is they're going to have to print more fake dollars simply because the pensions are bust, and their pensions are stuffed with stuff like GameStop.
Well, to the extent that any pensions own GameStop, they just got lucky. They won the lottery. Because I'm sure if you're a pension manager and you made the mistake of buying GameStop, and now you get a get out of jail free card, it's like you won so they're selling. So there's probably more pensions that are going to benefit from GameStop because now they're going to get out. It's these little investors, not the pensions, that are buying. The pensions are run by more sophisticated guys who are fiduciaries. They're not buying, they're selling. But the pensions in general are woefully underfunded. They're investing in the equivalent of GameStop. GameStop is like, the extreme example. But the whole market is overpriced. You have all sorts of companies that have crazy pie in the sky multiples that have no earnings, that are overvalued just like GameStop, and people are paying ridiculous prices for them. I don't think the Reddit guys have the firepower to do this on their own. But what might happen is some of the bigger players around the world may wake up and see this as a catalyst to move into silver. And that could do it. But it was going to happen inevitably.
Yes.
Whether the Reddit guys accelerated the process or not, we don't know. The good thing is, if this press, if what's happening on Reddit causes some little people, some average Americans who didn't own any silver to now buy some,
yes,
as long as they don't sell it, if it drops a little bit, because obviously when everybody rushes in, the price could push up, we might have a pullback. As long as they don't get discouraged and sell for a loss, this is going to be very important because people are going to need that silver. When you start to see runaway inflation or hyperinflation, having that real money, having silver, it could be the difference between poverty and being okay. There's a big difference between the little guys who are buying silver and the little guys who are still buying GameStop or who still own GameStop. GameStop is going to crash. It's only a question of when. I mean, GameStop was overvalued, when it was $10, $20 a share, and the shorts were jumping all over it. So now when you're talking about hundreds of dollars a share, it got as high as over $500 a share. This is not just the shorts covering. There are a lot of little investors who paid $300, $400 a share for GameStop. That stock could go to zero, or close to it. So a lot of people are going to get hurt.
If Reddit and Robinhood and all these retail buyers, blow the guys like JP Morgan all the water, and the useful value of silver actually comes to light, everybody should own gold and silver anyway.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.